So, Angelo, how you doing, my friend?
I'm great, Roger. It's good to be here, man.
Oh, it's amazing to have you, my friend. Amazing. I mean, we've been talking for a little while now, and this has been meaning to happen. And there's been a few delays on both sides. I know you've been busy, I've been busy, but we are here. We are here.
I'm
And
grateful for it, man.
oh, all good, man. All good. What part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay. What is
In the
yeah? What is it renowned for? I don't really know.
What is Boulder
Colorado.
renowned for? It's basically renowned for being like the healthiest city in America. I would say
Okay.
it's the simplest way of saying it.
I
It's
see.
uh, it's right on the foothills, so it's on the front range of the Rocky Mountains. It's near Denver. It's a college town, but it's full of athletes, basically.
Right, right.
It's a
Okay.
very healthy place.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Nice. And you lived in Texas before, is that right? Is it
Yeah,
Texas?
man. I was born and raised in Texas.
Born and raised.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a little stint between Texas and here overseas, but most of my life in Texas.
Okay. Nice. So we're here today to talk about yourself and Keon. Keon. So you're the co-founder of Keon Supplements alongside fitness powerhouse Ben Greenfield.
That's correct, man.
Well, before we get into Keon itself, I want to know a bit more about you personally. I think a lot of people know about Ben Greenfield. With his books. I think I got a couple of his books, which I still ain't gone all the way through because they're just like next level detail.
They're
You need
like
to be,
textbooks.
yeah,
When Ben
yeah.
when Ben first showed me like his idea for the manuscript for Boundless, I was like, dude, are you sure this is like it was like I think it was 1,200 pages then. It got cut down to like 650.
I think he mentioned, yeah.
But yeah,
Ooh, wow.
they're good. They're reference materials.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, judging by your American accent, I would have thought that you're 100% American, but I don't know. Like your name, Angelo, is Italian. So, do you have
Yeah.
any Italian in the family, or was it a choice of like, we like this name, we're going to call him Angelo? Was that with your parents?
It's exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it was really my dad. My dad grew up on the East Coast of the United States with a lot of Italian kids, and he loved that name.
Okay,
So that's
right.
that's really it. It's funny, I've gone to name my kids. I gave my daughter a French name and my son a Spanish name. So I
Okay.
guess I guess that's just maybe that's the trend in the family to name our kids from other cultures.
Nice. Because my daughter, her middle name is Angel,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and Angelo is like the male version of that. So in Arabic and Hebrew, it actually means messenger of God.
True
So
that.
that's yeah, that's what your name means, bro. It's a
I
big
know,
deal.
dude. I love it, man.
um, I was looking at your bio, and it had a few things on there which I wanted to discuss, and one of them was a word which I don't even know if I've seen before, uh, polyglot, polyglot, which is I had to Google search it, and
Uh,
yeah, not gonna lie, I had to Google search it, and it means like knowing or using several languages.
mhm. That is correct.
Well, why didn't it say multilingual? I mean, most people use the term multilingual. I mean, is there another reason why that it was written that way?
No, I think it was just written for that's like the shortest word for saying it, but it could be multilingual. It's the
Oh,
same
okay.
thing. It
So
doesn't mean anything
what
different.
languages do you speak?
I speak French and Spanish pretty well, but I've studied classical Greek, Arabic, Hindi, Kannada, another Indian language. I lived in India for a while. I lived in France for a few years.
Okay,
I've done an extensive time in Central America. So,
that's cool, man.
but all as an adult. I didn't really discover that until I was probably 20.
Mm, that's pretty amazing. Like languages, they say it's good to learn at an early age, and then it just becomes super easy from there. I done a genetics test which actually said that apparently I'm good at languages. I speak English, and that is where it stops. I think I need to look at that test again.
You know, it's funny, man. I think fitness and languages are actually similar in that way, that if you if you get taught the practices that support you in developing a fitness practice when you're younger, then it's easier to maintain when you're older.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean you can't start when you're older. And it
True.
really comes down to like mindset and emotions. The reason why kids can learn languages earlier, there are some like oral opportunities, the fact that their brain can hear sounds, but really they're just more emotionally open to it. You know, if you're, I don't know, if you're 30 years old, you don't really want to sound like a 2 year old trying to speak another language. Whereas if you're two, you don't really notice,
You don't care.
right? So
Like,
same thing. It's like if you're, I don't know, 60 pounds overweight and not into training, and then you try to go to a gym, it's hard. It's not fun, right? It's kind of embarrassing at first, the same
I think
way.
that's it. You're mainly focusing on what other people think of you doing it as opposed to just doing it. See, a lot of
Exactly.
the time it's like that, right? You got people who they will not go to a gym. It's not that they physically can't do it, but they're more concerned about other people, what they will say. And it's quite interesting because it's like, okay, you go to the gym to get in shape, but they think you need to look a certain way to be. I can't go in the gym. I need to look a certain way first. I'm like, what? That's how you
That's how you
you
never get
get
there.
that way when you go to the
Exactly.
gym, you know. But they don't seem to see, the beginning stages, what people had to go through first in order to get to look that way, isn't it?
Totally, man. You
Um,
know, I told you recently when we talked that I've been reading your book. I read rather slowly. I read like 10 books at a time. And so
all
I
right.
read, I don't know, it takes me like a few weeks to read a book. But, on that theme, like I feel like so much of what you speak to is it's more about the mindset. It's more about seeing yourself in this like long-term progression,
Mhm.
seeing seeing yourself in an upward spiral, like continually working it. And I think when people initially start anything, they just want to like get there. They just want to they see progression as some kind of linear development, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's not linear. It's cyclical. It's like you got to just keep working it and working it and working it, and
Mm,
so
it's quite fascinating. Yeah.
yeah, you won't be there the first day you go to the gym.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of the time people need reminders of that. Um, and I do question where it all starts from. I think it's probably a teaching culture at school that for some reason maybe people expect it to be fast. If you just understand what to do logically, that from there you're supposed to automatically jump into I don't know, transformation immediately. But you're also a world-class beatboxer. Did I read that correctly in your bio?
Yeah, man, that's correct.
Wow, a
It's
beatboxer, really?
um, I mean, welcome, welcome to the Roger Snipes podcast.
Oh god! Wow! What?
I don't know what to say, man.
That's incredible, man. Oh my god, that's incredible. How long have you been doing that for? And what got you into that? How did you realize, man, so many questions about that. How did you discover that you could do these kind of vocal things with your voice, your mouth, and that to realize that beatboxing was your thing?
I mean, I was always, how do I say this? I was raised by pretty like free hippie parents.
All right.
I didn't go to school till I was like 7. And so I spent a lot of time outdoors playing, running around, like, and I didn't have like normal toys. The one toy they gave me was like this little, remember those old Fisher Price, almost like karaoke cassette tape things?
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyways, I had one of those, and so I would just go and I'd like be singing and making noises. And actually, my parents they got me this. They got me like this Bobby McFerrin video when I was a kid. You know, the guy who like he plays on himself and sings. He's a super talented. He did "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I heard that song when I was a little kid, and I just loved it. But then my parents put me into drum lessons, and I started learning instruments, and then really is when I got to high school and I started getting into like hip hop music, being at parties, and wanting to be able to like rap and wanting to be able to be loud enough when other people were rapping to like make the noise come out of my mouth, and I just started doing it. And then I started getting gigs for it. Like I got like a Chili's commercial and these are like American brands, but like some American brands, I started getting work for it. So I just kept doing it.
Amazing.
But I haven't really progressed in probably 20 years. Like my skill set now is really what it was when I was a teenager.
Did you ever used to do busking on the street or anything like that? Or did you do like beatbox battles and stuff?
Not so much busking. I mean, I got commercial work, and then I
Mm,
performed like I emancipated myself when I was 17, so I started supporting myself when I was 17 in
right.
America, and with that, one of the main ways I did it was playing music. So I was a drummer in bands, and I did beatbox work, and so it was more like in that kind of context, trying to hustle to make like real money to
Yeah.
pay for my apartment.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. I always wished I could beatbox. I could do like a basic.
It's good, man.
But and I used to play drums at school as
Oh,
well.
really? Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Didn't know that
Um
one.
yeah, I used to play drums. And I was okay. I was pretty good. I ended up buying myself a drum kit when I was in my early 20s, but I lived in flats. So I'd get complaints by the neighbors and then I end up selling it. And then after that, I yeah, I guess I always thought to myself, oh, I love the drums, I love the beat and everything, and it was quite therapeutic for me. Um, but it's one of those when you don't practice, sometimes you kind of feel it in your heart that you want to do it, but life just says, look, man, you got important things to do. You ain't got time for that right now. So yeah, it just slowly withered away, you
Man, you
know.
should get yourself a drum kit.
Yeah, they got electrical ones now, right?
Yeah, they got electric ones, man. No, it doesn't even have to bother the neighbors. You can
Yeah,
play 5, 10 minutes a day. It's good. It's therapeutic.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's all I use it. That's what I do with it now, or I play with my kids.
Oh, awesome. Have you got a proper percussion set or do you have an electric set?
Yeah, we have like a whole kind of we have like our music gym room is kind of like the same room. So we actually have like an adult drum kit, kids drum kit, piano, guitars,
Oh, wow.
all like our gym equipment. So it's
How
like our
much
playroom.
piece? How much piece set have you got? You got a 5 piece, six, 7 piece,
It's a 4 piece.
a 4 piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All
I don't
right.
need that big. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
for
Yeah. 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 I'm trying to remember all the pieces. So you got the tom toms, the floor tom, bass, hi hat. So have you got like a ride cymbal and a crash cymbal, or have you just got
I have
like?
I have a ride and a hi hat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's cool enough.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's fun, man. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. I
Good for the
gravitated to
soul.
drum. Seriously, man. You don't need to go crazy and be like all rock bandish. You can just find a simple jazz riff and just, yeah, man. Just mellow play with it. Ah, okay. Oh, just brought me back to childhood there, man. Thanks a lot.
You're
So,
welcome, man. I love it. I love that you're a drummer too. That makes sense.
oh man. Um, so you grew up on lots of organic, like a kind of organic, regenerative, agricultural lifestyle sort of thing. Is that right?
I mean, my parents were really health entrepreneurs. My dad was in the 70s, like early in the ginseng business in America as an importer. And then he had a botanical herb distribution company.
Mm,
So basically selling ingredients like turmeric, chamomile, things like that to other types of supplement companies or to, yeah, sometimes like as the finished product itself. And then my parents had a health food store. So I was brought up in that environment and you know naturopathic doctors. I don't think I saw a doctor till I was like 7. I didn't have a
oh,
birth certificate. They didn't give me a birth certificate till I went to school and I had to get one. I was born at
really?
home. Yeah, I was born at home. So super pretty hippie health nut kind of environment. Yet also like pretty fitness oriented. My mom had been a competitive swimmer, so she was super into like master swimming when I
Mm,
was a little kid, and we went to the gym. Like they would literally take me to the gym with them every day. So
mm,
that was kind of like our community, like our community club.
mhm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome, man. It was a super,
That's so cool.
super positive foundation for the rest of my life.
What was the holidays like? Did you do any, I don't know, hiking on holidays and stuff, or I don't know, scuba diving or anything, or are they just like your typical holidays like everyone else?
Nah, we didn't really do like they weren't super. We didn't really do how you yeah like vacations like that. If we did vacations, it was to go visit family.
Oh, right.
I
That's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
because I was raised in Austin, and they were both from. My mom was from Colorado. My dad was from the East Coast. So
Right, right.
go visit family, basically.
That's lovely, man. I like that. I like that. Like with my fitness, it was I don't know, it was I just loved fitness myself. Just had a passion for it. It wasn't because my dad was in it or anything. I just naturally gravitated to it. And it was kind of like a poverty lifestyle I lived. So I knew that I wanted to eat healthier stuff. If I wanted to get a healthy body and look a certain way, I just looked at it through magazines. So it was a bit different. It was a bit different.
I feel like
Um,
that's a more common path, though, actually, for people that find themselves in fitness health professionally later in life. It's like because there was a deficit of it or not as much opportunity as, or encouragement, then it became an area where you became more passionate about it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's funny,
yeah,
I think only because later in my life, like in early adulthood, I had more problems where I rediscovered it on my own. Like it
mm,
became my own that it became so much a part of my life. Whereas like if I hadn't gone through trouble or struggle later, then yeah, it might not have, I might not have ended up starting a supplement company, or it being such a big part of my life. Cause I think that going through like having to choose it not just being something that's just like given to you is what then makes it what creates more of that like actual inner drive and passion for it
yeah.
versus just it being something you take for granted.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. My sister, she worked in a leisure center, and she said to me, I can get you a pass on the system. I could say that you're a member here. Just use just use the membership." And I was like, "Oh my God, seriously? Thank you so much." And that to me was like my passport for life. The moment I was given this, I was going to the gym all the time. I was there like three
How old
hours a
was that?
day. Well, when I was 16,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I was 16 years old. So I was going to the gym. I had no idea what I was doing. I was holding the magazines and just trying to watch the instructions on magazines, watching other people. But I would just live in the gym. I was like, oh, I love this place. I don't ever want to leave. Um, but yeah, yeah, it was just the shit. I so appreciated that I had the opportunity to train in a gym when I couldn't afford a membership. Yeah, my sister managed to get me in there on the sly. So you'd mentioned about, it's not until like, I don't know, like something, if unless it's unfortunate or something you don't appreciate. And I wanted to talk about you had some something that happened in your life. I know that not everything was flowers and unicorns, but you did have a near-death experience when you were 16 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So
I
what
think
happened there?
yes, I mean, as I was saying earlier, like my childhood was pretty sweet, and like it was supportive and healthy and stuff. And as I got older, though, like family life started to get more complicated. My parents ended up getting divorced, and they had business, like they got into business problems. And I think really even their focus on health started to go away. I think
Right.
it's a common thing. People start hitting middle age, and they kind of forget maybe like what was most important. And in all that too, I'm hitting high school, and I just started getting into a lot of trouble, like a lot of trouble, like getting kicked out of school, getting arrested, like just problems. And then one time I took way too much LSD, acid, and totally freaked out. I've never been in a fight in my life. Like I'm not a violent person. Provoked a fight with people that were much more hardcore than me. They stabbed me twice in the back, in the knee, nearly beat me to death, left me like to die basically in this gutter. And, I woke up a few days later uh, in a hospital bed, bedridden for a long time, obviously very traumatic. That alone is I think a PTSD worthy experience, but
Yeah.
combined with it being in the middle of a bad hallucinogenic trip, it's pretty deep. And from there, I think that really, those are those moments where either it's like you either go way down, it becomes a downward spiral, you go down the wormhole, or you find some way to kind of have that start to become a stepping stone towards growth. And I was really lucky. I did. I had exposure to people that cared about me. I had exposure to ideas, more of growth mindset ideas. Like I got exposed to these ideas of like creative visualization, of visualizing what I wanted my life in the future to be like. And from that, I began to imagine myself being much healthier and not being so kind of immersed in what other people thought,
Yeah.
immersed in my social group, immersed in like what was cool, and really like, what do I want? And from that, it really led me to like my own health journey. It led to um, not just eating organic foods or whatever because it's what my parents did, but researching nutrition on my own. What should I eat today to make myself feel great? And researching fitness training and researching, um, really beginning a whole journey, I would say, of personal development from many different traditions. I got really into yoga, into breath work, into cold and heat exposure. I started saving up my money to go to acupuncture. Um,
Sorry, is this all around 16 or
this
a
is,
little bit later?
well, I'd say, so this happened when I was 16 and a half.
Hmm.
I mean, that next half a year was pretty messy. I mean, I started going to therapy, but then like I said, at 17, I emancipated myself and moved out. I started supporting myself. So I was working really hard to pay for myself as well.
Mm.
And, yeah, man, it was 17 really. 17 is when it started. And then
Mm.
it evolved over the next few years. I mean, um, again, I luckily I was coming from a family and from an environment that was not, we were by no means like rich, but in Austin, Texas is another very health focused community. My parents are kind of from this hippie environment. Like I had access to and was exposed to these different types of health ideas. They weren't, um, I don't know, it's not like I'm in the middle of some rural place in America, so I
Mm.
had access. And yeah, man, I just soaked it up, and I just dove really deep into all those modalities, into my own research around it. I suddenly became really motivated to go to college, whereas I'd always been a smart kid and good at school, but like in high school, and obviously when I'm getting in trouble like that, I'm not thinking in that way. So
Hmm.
suddenly college became like my passion, and wanting to go to college and wanting to study and wanting to learn. And I actually ended up doing, um, I took a bunch of health classes there, but I actually ended up studying religious studies and philosophy. And it was more of like, man, just trying to understand what life is about.
Yeah.
And, um, more than anything, and this kind of ties into like, I think later on, like trying to understand the theme of how I ended up in a supplement company. Obviously, like with my family background, it makes sense. But really, I was always this kid with like tons of energy, tons, that was spilling out into everything. I mean, like spilling out into beatboxing, right? I mean, like some people beatbox, but you listen to like how loud it is. It's like I'm just like, God, like charged.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to manage it. So it would be like, big ups and big downs, already you hear in the story. I mean, who else gets stabbed on acid? Like that's like as crazy or manic an experience as you could get. And like that was my life. It was just this supercharged energy kind of spilling out. And um, I sought to know how to maintain it, like to get to experience this life that was supercharged, but that was stable, that was more smooth, that enabled me to experience everything I wanted to experience, but without like destructive peaks.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just, it really became my personal mission to figure out how to harness and hone and stabilize that energy so that I could pursue everything I wanted to do. And man, it just like, it turned into, I ended up being the valedictorian in my college.
A
I ended
what?
up
Sorry.
valedictorian in the US. I was the top student at my university when I
Okay.
graduated. And, I ended up realizing like, man, I ended up taking like 6 classes at a time. I realized I could, I could learn a language as a young adult, so I became fluent in French and Spanish, and I started traveling. I went to India to do advanced yoga training. I it just Once I learned that the energy that was inside me could be harnessed and could be channeled into more productive things, through having a vision for my life, and then through understanding the things that worked for me, it changed everything.
Mm.
So
So quickly, how long was you in India for? And like when you decided to do advanced yoga,
uh-huh.
was that for just like your own personal development, or was there another reason behind it? What was the reason?
Yeah, I mean, well, I've been to India 4 times. The
Right.
first time was when I was 21,
Mm.
but so the first time I went to India, it was for like 2.5 months. 1 month was to live and volunteer at an orphanage in southern India, and just like have the experience of working with and supporting people that were in a really different life experience than me. And then the second half of the trip was to study yoga at this ashram. And that advanced study was really just for myself. It was technically an advanced teacher training program, but I wasn't trying to teach. I wasn't trying to become like a yoga teacher. It was to do my own more deep, serious, advanced study. And
Yeah.
that actually was in, this gives another, not to go on and on about like traumas, but
No, no.
but
Good to know.
when I was at that ashram in India, I had a really unique opportunity to go visit some friends in a more northern village in the Himalayas. And I was in a bus there, and my bus and another bus collided on a cliff, and the other bus went off the cliff, and there was no one around to, climb down a cliff. And there were very few able-bodied, young men that were there. So the few of us that were, we climbed down this cliff. We spent the whole day basically trying to rescue people, and it was 26 people died. It was pretty. It was a gruesome, intense experience. And again, from that experience, though, I feel like it gave me, the previous experience was like this self-provoked, near death experience where I brought this craziness to me and then had to see what it meant. And in this case, it was like, man, you can just be in life and random bad stuff can happen. And like serious, like you can die at any moment. And what will you do with that? Like with that experience of knowing that you can die at any moment, or people around you can die at any moment, how will you live your life, Angelo? And that super changed, I think, the rest of my life at 21. And from that, I ended up actually coming back. I started a program for people from my university to run a summer camp for kids at the orphanage. So I came back 2 years later. I guess I was 20 when I went to India. So I came back 2 years later at 22 to run that summer camp for the kids. And then I came back again later for business. I ended up living in France for a few years after that. And I was working with Apple in France, and Apple France ran Apple India. So I did some business in India. And then I ended up moving to India when I was 26, and I lived there for a year and a half.
Mm.
So there's a lot of India in my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's incredible, man. That is really incredible. Like again, the near-death experience, and not, to be honest with you, many of us are not lucky enough to have that. I see it as lucky. When we have these traumatic experiences, it really is a real shake up, a real wake up call, a real shake, which many of us need. There's an old expression when when God has a gift for you, he wraps it up in problems. And that's always stuck to me. And I always found that fascinating, because when things happen, I'm like, there's something good waiting. There's something good waiting for me. It's all right. It's all right. This is feeling stressful right now, but it's okay. And then I start thinking about, all right, what things can I use to help me to feel resilient through this moment, and just understand that I'm still alive. And that's the main thing. I'm still alive. So just appreciate that and go through this motion, because you're going to come out the other side. But yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that story, man. That was incredible. So we now have let's talk about Keon. Let's fast forward to today. We have Keon, which is a supplement and a functional food company, which is renowned for its efficacy and high quality, which I guess is the main reason why people use Keon. How did it all start? Like, what's the story behind this amazing brand?
Totally, man. I think there's many stories, because there were primarily there were Ben and I involved at the very beginning, but then there's been so many other people that have been part of building it.
Right.
And so, I guess from my own personal story, and then kind of how that then I think meets Ben's story from the very beginning, was, like I said, I was raised by these parents where supplements and natural foods and quality was really the most important thing. If it was that and family, like that was, we had God, but it was almost like natural food was like the highest order in a way, in terms of what we talked about most.
Yeah.
And, interestingly enough, aminos were probably the most important. The thing I remember most as a kid, I remember like my mom taking me to the gym, and she would always take aminos before she'd go do her swim, and she'd give them to me as well. And then she'd go to her swim and she'd give them to me afterwards. And I remember her telling me, like, can't you feel it, Angie? Like, isn't it amazing? Like how good it feels. And I don't, it's hard to know now, because it's like it was put into me at such a young age, but I still have that experience, man.
How old was you at that point when you first?
3, 4
years old.
These are like my earliest memories.
Okay, cool.
Literally, like my earliest memories are at going to the gym, and I would go to daycare, but then after daycare I could also go to like the swimming pool and swim in the gym. It was a more family inclusive type gym. It wasn't like just like kind of bro workout type place.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, so like from the very earliest age I remember that. And similarly too, it's like my parents like loved coffee, and I only mention these two because like these are our kind of like our two biggest SKUs. Like my parents love coffee, super committed to organic. I remember like making coffee with my mom, like helping her make it for her before she'd go work out as well. So man, it's just kind of like those things I think are unconsciously just like cooked into me. And then my own journey, as we were describing earlier, kind of took me through this whole personal development path. I developed a career where I ended up working overseas in France for a few years, and then India. I ended up wanting to start a family, move back to the States, and I ran and built a behavioral healthcare company for a few years that basically focused on supporting young adults that had struggled with stuff similar to me. Either they had like a drug problem, or they got into trouble with the law, or had other types of process addictions. Basically supporting them with nutrition, fitness, vocational coaching, integrative psychiatry if necessary, supplements, to help them really again kind of find themselves, and find again like their own inner source of their energy inside and their ability to be healthy, which I loved. I was passionate about that. I did it for a few years. It was kind of time to leave, and I did not know what was next. I really did not know what was next. I quit that, and I just put feelers out. And within like 2 weeks of putting feelers out, I knew I wanted to start something. I knew I wanted to start a new company. And I put feelers out, and within 2 weeks, I got this intro from someone who said, hey man, there's this guy, Ben Greenfield, who I think you guys would like really connect and you would really complement each other. I really want to introduce you. And he has some ideas for things he wants to do. So I had never even heard of Ben before. Um, I came more from uh, I guess just like a natural health perspective and more of like a multicultural health perspective. Like I got exposed to cold therapy and heat therapy and breath work and all that stuff, but more almost from like a multicultural influence, like studying yoga. I
Yeah.
wasn't into like biohacking,
Yeah.
but I was into all the same kinds of stuff. Maybe I wasn't doing like Juve red light therapy and
All
stuff.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I got introduced to Ben. This is the end of 2016, and I flew up there for us to go like hang out at his house. I think it was like January 3rd or something, 2017.
Okay.
And he actually had the name of Keon already. He's like, man, I want to do like this supplement company. I think it'd be really awesome. And we launched the company, I don't know, 8 weeks later. Like we actually created the entity 8 weeks
Right.
later, and we just started working on it. And we launched the brand in October of 2017. And we've just been, full speed since then. And man, it's been an awesome journey, and Ben is an awesome partner and friend, and um, man, just
Wow.
like totally different kind of influence on my life.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So the name Keon, what does it mean? It's a very different kind of name.
So it comes from the root of the word ki, which anyone who studied, Japanese martial arts would be familiar with Aikido.
Okay.
But you'll find it all throughout Japanese culture. It's funny, even just recently, my daughter, she turned 6 on Tuesday, just started violin using the Suzuki method, which is a
Mm.
method for teaching children music. And so it's really kind of it's a widespread theme throughout Japanese culture, but it's related to the word chi in Chinese, and you can find parallels to it in other cultures. Prana um, in Indian culture, as well as like a general sense of life force, a general sense of
Mm.
energy. Now, there's really distinct meaning within Japanese culture itself, but we really took it as an inspiration of this idea of the internal inner energy that is inside each of us.
Mm.
That when understood, harnessed, and activated, allows one to actually manifest this most beautiful life, to be truly active, to be truly joyful. And we wanted to build a supplement and food company, a company where you're taking things and putting them inside your body, that was based on the foundational idea, not of, oh, you're going to take this thing and then you're going to be perfect, or you're going to take this thing and then you're going to get this immediate result. You're going to take this thing and everything is going to be okay. No, you take this product. I take aminos, and I take all of our products, but I take aminos every day because not because it's going to give me this perfect end result, but because it actually nurtures me in ultimately um, harnessing my own internal energy
Mm.
and manifesting my life from there.
Yeah.
So that's the heart of the idea.
Okay. Right. Right. Okay. So it kind of works synergistically. I'm just trying to rephrase or paraphrase what you said. So it kind of brings the best from within. You're saying, kind of thing. The-
Yeah, I'd say it brings the best from within. I mean, I think it works like this. We we all are manifestations of this life force, and inside of us is it. Inside of us is ki. Inside of us is this energy.
yeah.
And when we choose to do things in life, whether it's behavioral, like I choose to go to the gym, or I choose to hang out with friends, or I choose to put a product inside of my body, it either helps me to have better energy to do more with my life, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so every single product that we formulate and that we think through fundamentally needs to serve that purpose. It needs to serve the purpose of the greater human being that's taking that product, and how they can ultimately be active and happy for more of their life.
Yeah. 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 That's cool. Makes total sense. And that's something that I talk about a lot, in all fairness. You know, people want to take supplements. They're like, what supplement will make me do this? And I'm like, no, you need to already be doing that. You know? You know, people want to be, I don't know, put on weight or lose weight. It's like, okay, you should be on the verge of doing that with the right nutrition, and the right mindset. I think we spoke already about, you know, how mindset is kind of, it's kind of like the start of everything, really. It's, if it's not, if it's not there, if you, I don't know, it's like, even when you're exercising and you're doing a bicep curl, and you kind of turn your head and you look at your bicep, for some reason there's a bit more connection there. You know, there's a bit more mind to muscle connection. You know, if you're trying to lose body fat, if your mind isn't really fully in it, you could do whatever you want. You're not going to get the results. It's not going to happen. You know, this is where you fall off, because if you're just trying to follow some rigid plan without really understanding, really feeling it, it just doesn't work. So when I'm working with clients, I get them emotionally involved. And once that emotion is involved, then their mind is in it. It's not just logic. If you try and look at it logically, it doesn't work. It has to really be a part of them, part of their soul.
I think that's it, Roger. It's like a part of their soul. Because it's not even like the momentary emotions that come and go.
Mhm.
It's like, is it part of who you are? Is it become like what you really most want? And is it an
Yeah.
expression of that? And are you connected to it in that way? Or are you just like, oh, I got to do this thing, you know, I got to do this activity, and that's the only way it's going to happen? No, it's like,
Yeah.
I love my life. I love myself. I want this for me. Like, I want to be greater. I want to be healthy. I want to be present for my family. I want to live long, or maybe even I want to be beautiful. I want to have killer abs, like
Yeah.
whatever it is. But like, you really, it's an expression of your soul, of you.
Yeah. And you know, you say that, and it makes me think that sometimes people say to me, what keeps you motivated, Roger? And I'm like, I don't have one thing that keeps me motivated. It's like, if we're going to use the word motivation, it's a multitude of things. I've got like loads of things, so it's not superficial. It's loads of things. So it's longevity. It's the fact I do want to look sexy naked as well. I want to look in the mirror and be like, damn, you look great. You know, I do like the compliments as well. But I think the main thing is longevity. And I think what also helps is if I use social media and I take topless pics, I am accountable to like loads of other people. So I use loads of different things to keep me on track. So if people see it as, okay, I want to lose weight. I hate that term, to be honest with you, lose weight. You want to lose fat. Just say it. I want to lose fat. You don't want to lose weight.
You don't want to lose muscle.
Yeah, exactly. um, it's like I have to get people to look a bit more emotional into it. Like, why? Why is it so important to you? Like, where does it stem from? You know, maybe they were bullied at school. Okay, let's bring this out. Let's bring this out. Let's really get it root deep and just harness it so that when it comes to getting on the journey of losing fat, we can use this as fuel to keep going, not just, you know, because if something changes in their life where weight isn't important, then they've forgotten the real essence of why they got started in the first place. You know, because things change in our life, so you need to really find out what the foundation is. But anyway, might have diverted slightly on that.
I don't think so, man. That's the heart. That's the heart of it. We can say it a bunch of different ways, but that intention is the heart of our brand.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you being an entrepreneur, you being an entrepreneur. Obviously, there's a great importance in running a business effectively on a daily basis. And at the same time, you're a family man. So sometimes people find that when they're working and, they have to take care of a family, it's like, oh, well, I'm married now. I've been married for 10 years. I ain't got time to take care of myself. That's the reason why I got a belly. um, but, you managed to keep it all together. You got your family, you're running a business. Um, how do you how do you prioritize everything and make sure that you incorporate a healthy lifestyle as well?
I mean, in just to start off being vulnerable, I've been there. Like I've been that person that, well, I haven't been that person, but there's been times where I wasn't as focused on as I wanted to be, and where I let things slip, and where I gained fat.
Yeah.
And actually, this last year has been a time where, you know, I redoubled my efforts and reprioritized specifically health to make sure that it was that much more of a focus again. Which seems funny, and I mean, not funny. It seems hypocritical, like someone who has a supplement company or a health company falling off. But man, it can happen. It can happen to anyone. So I guess just to emphasize again, it's about, man, it's so interesting because I read this in your book, and I use the same language. It's about like an upward spiral. Like we will find ourselves on these loops, continually kind of going, and it's like, man, are you going down or are you continually going up? Because the patterns come back. Um, but I'm really proud to say, like, today I feel great about the way that I'm leading my life, and how I'm able to balance these things. And I think the way that I do it, man, is I try to keep things simple, and I try to keep everything integrated. And the way I keep things simple are, I either need to be um, creating, like really creating something, connecting, or recovering. And those are my three C's. Obviously, recovering is kind of it's a cheat on a C, but I have that frame of my mind all the time. So creating can be something like building the company. It could be literally doing strength training. Like I know I'm actually building muscle in that activity. Or it could be working on something at the house with my family. If I'm not doing that, I should be connecting, and not just like kind of hanging out, like watching a TV show with my wife or something. It's like really connecting, talking to her, talking to my kids, listening to them, playing a game, being deeply engaged. And if I'm not doing that, I should be recovering, truly resting, like actually giving space and time for my body and my mind to restore what they need. If I'm not doing one of those things, it's not worth my time. And there's so many times in life that I found myself, and I think many people find themselves doing something that's not one of those.
Mm.
They're mindlessly scrolling through the internet, or watching TV, or half listening, half participating in a conversation with someone. It's like, I cut that stuff out. I don't do that stuff. And I make sure that I constantly remind myself, and it gives me options. It's not like I have to be productive all the time. I literally could just be connecting with someone, or I could be really deeply resting. And by having that kind of focus, there's a lot of time in the day, man. There's 16 hours of waking time if I sleep my full 8.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's figuring out how to make that happen. So, this past year, so many more things have been on Zoom, as you found. So this is actually this first time we've been on a live Zoom, because whenever we normally talk, I'm like, dude, I got to do a phone call because I want to get my steps in. I want to be walking outside. I want to be doing something productive for myself. And when I'm just looking at a Zoom thing, it's like like right now I'm standing to make sure I'm at least like, working on something in my
Yeah.
life. But I try to get the most out of every single opportunity. If I can get 20,000 steps a day, literally just taking my phone calls, walking. It's not hard at all. So boom, that's done. Strength training, man, I do, 3 to 4 30-minute to 60-minute workouts a week. I do compound movements. I mean, I do stuff like pull-ups and dips, and I mean, I can add weights to them when I do them, but I find ways to fit it in, to make it work where I can get a lot done at the same time. And I don't make excuses about it.
That's
So I don't
awesome.
know. I feel like I kind of wandered in my answer, but that's the way my brain thinks about it.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Yeah, I've got a very different approach in the way I explain things at times as well, where it might start off in a completely different area and people might be like, what's this guy talking about? I just asked you a direct question and you've just gone off somewhere else. And that's me. I'm not even like with you, it seemed like pretty straight to the point. But yeah, maybe because I think in a similar way. But that's really cool, man. That is really cool. And I get it. I get it. Sometimes I do question what happens to us as humans where we might have a real strong strategic plan. And then there's moments where there's a slight deviation and we're like, what happened? What happened? I know what to do. And somehow I didn't follow the plan. I found myself like fitness is my life. It's everything that I know. And I found that the first part of lockdown, I did put on some fat. Um, I found that my eating slightly fell off. I had some slight gut dysbiosis. And I'm like, I looked in the mirror and I was like bloated all the time. I'm like, what's going
It
on? What happened? What happened? And
was also
then,
really stressful.
I'm sorry?
It was also a very stressful period.
Well,
You just think about the hormone impacts of
I
the
think
first
that's
day.
it. I think that was part of it. The hormones thing. I wouldn't say necessarily stress, but I think definitely a hormone thing as opposed to the amount of light which I should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, just maybe not moving as much as well. And with the weather being crap in UK, it was raining quite a lot, so I might not have cycled as much. And gyms being closed, I just wasn't really. I knew what I needed to do, but I just wasn't training as much, and just the whole balance just affected me. But and I think yeah, if you're feeling unhappy about yourself, you kind of do more things, which is going to increase the unhappiness. It's weird. Why people do that? Oh, I'm unhappy, so I'm going to eat some more junk. It's like, dude, that is not going to make you happy. But then, it's like we revert back to childhood where parents will be like, oh, this will make you feel good. Eat some. And maybe it was different with your parents. I had junk food as a kid, like bags of sweets and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting how you
It was
might,
the same thing. It just became overeating.
yeah.
Maybe I could still eat good. I mean, it could still be better quality food, but if I eat more food when I'm not hungry, then it's still not good.
Yeah. What I find quite fascinating, it's a bit of a sidestep from what I'm talking about here, is when you are hungry, like it's almost like you hit a quota. Like, okay, I'm good, I'm full. But for some reason, you could still eat sweets. If someone hands you a dessert, it's like, are you full? Yeah, oh, man, I'm stuffed. Do you know I got a cake, or I don't know, whatever your treat is. I got some ice cream. Like, really? But you're full though. No, no, no. Wait. I know I said I'm full, but I'm okay. I can have that. It's
That
quite
is the kid.
fascinating.
That is the kid in us. Just like
Yeah,
watching my kids. It's like, man,
it's truly fascinating.
yeah.
And I'm aware of that as well. Like when I'm eating food, I think if the body tells you you're full, then that's cool. Like you've hit your nutrition quota and that is it. But the moment I have a hint of, let's say, extra carbohydrates in there or a hint of something sweet, somehow I end up eating more. And it's so interesting. It is really interesting because I can eat a low carb meal and eat less. The moment I put extra on the plate, which is carbohydrates, I can eat that. Then I want more. Like, wow.
I have the same thing, man. But I don't. It's weird. This might be. I have no idea what this is. It seems more anecdotal than scientific. But
Mm.
what I just found is like I just save my carbs till the end of the day because I do, man. I like them. Like for me, it's not sustainable not to get to eat pasta. It's just not. It's just not. It's not sustainable, you know. So I just save them to the. I save them to the end of the day, and I don't know, man. If I eat my salad and I eat my protein first, like I won't overeat as much. But what happens is if I have like a glass of wine, then I want like some dessert. And then if I eat some dessert, then I want more, so it's like I
Mm.
feel like the alcohol what I found is the alcohol and dessert are like, man, those are slippery for me. So I
Mm.
I I can they belong on the weekend now in like a very specific space.
Oh man, that's so interesting. But yeah, like, when I think about when I'm in a restaurant and I just see how that kind of flows together, it just kind of makes sense. And even when you're about to finish, like you've eaten your dinner and you think, all right, I'm done. And then, someone comes over with the dessert menu, you're like, okay, yeah, you might just have another glass of wine with it. It just feels right.
Which is the benefit, man. That's honestly I think something I've really learned this last year from eating so much more at home. I mean, just not eating out at all
Hmm.
was, wow, the quality of food that we make at home is much better than restaurants. And I just, I take so much better care of myself, if I'm just not having someone trying to market me these additional things to get, bread with your meal or, a glass of wine. It's just kind of, again, I think it's all that thing. It's the idea of coming more from the inside. So
Hmm.
rather than being motivated by external things, which are good, external motivation can be good, particularly if you like design it, like you said, for social media. You actually use your relationship with social media and posting photos of yourself ripped, right, as a way to motivate yourself to keep doing it, right? So
Hmm.
but it's coming from you. Like you're designing the environment that you want to motivate you to do something well. If I just go to a restaurant, like I'm just going into their world, and their world is to get me to buy as much food as possible and drink as much as possible, and it's like, man, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that world, too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And their marketing is fantastic. And I've learned there's certain types of restaurants, they do things a certain way to keep the customers coming back. As long as you're happy, you will
Mm-hmm.
always come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to, what is this restaurant called? Oh man, it's a Argentinian restaurant. They got beautiful steaks. Um, they'll arrive with this platter of meat next to you raw, and they start talking about the detail of the meat, and they'll bring it up to you so you can actually look at it before it's cooked. Oh man. And they got I don't know, like they got the person who's presenting it with the most eloquent language, and you're like, wow, I love the way you say it. And because of that, and it's not words that you would express, you feel more attracted to the food. I'm like, wow, I don't know, what do you suggest? You know so much about it. Well, I would suggest this one, and okay, I'll have it. And because of that, whatever they suggest ongoing, you will always buy it, because you feel like, I trust this person. And then when you check the bill afterwards, you're like, damn, I bought the most expensive on that. Another thing which they do is, it's really smart. They will tell you certain things which are cheaper. They'll be like, do you know what? I would suggest to get this. This is a bit cheaper and it's really good. And when they do that, it makes you feel as though they're on your side. It's like, oh, you're on my team. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, I'll get that. And then later, it's easier for you to be, I shouldn't, kind of manipulated.
Yeah,
Easier to be convinced. But like, yeah, you're on my side. Like, what do you suggest? And they're like, oh yeah, get this, get that. Oh, it's crazy, bro. Anyway.
man, it's in everything though. I mean, the two themes I heard when you just said that were like, one, connection and relationship, how motivating that is. Like, just if your waiter just like connects with you, right, then suddenly you want to do what he or she wants.
Yeah.
And that, man, so it's like, choose your playmates well, like choose your friends, choose your environment well, because you will want to do what they want to do. And then the second thing is like, is the aesthetics, right? It's like how beautiful something is, or how cool it sounds, or like, it matters, man. It like, I think that's the best example of like you saying like you want to look good naked. It's like, that's a real motivator, man. Like it's okay and it's good. I mean, you come from a tradition of bodybuilding where like that looking good is the thing.
Mm.
Where it's like, I come more from traditions that are more about longevity and kind of like overall like well-being and fitness. And it's like, kind of like, oh, don't worry about the superficial, like how you look. And it's like, no, man, it matters. Like, You know, it's like if I look in the mirror and I feel like I look good and I'm proud of myself, and then people tell me I look good, then that's motivating. Like I'm gonna keep going to the gym, just like if someone talks about the steak with some fancy word and it's like
Yeah, yeah,
it
exactly.
sounds delicious, you know? It's like, man, like lean into it. Like beauty matters.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. So I'd been a sponsored athlete with a few different sports supplement brands. And man, there's so many different supplement brands out there. You know, it's like friggin' every week there's new ones coming out. I've been to different expos. I don't know if you know of them. You might have heard of like Arnold Classic.
Hmm.
Um, there's FIBO, which is in Germany. There's Body Power, which is in UK. I think there's LA Fit Expo. There's loads of different expos, and at these different expos, they got like loads of different sports supplement brands. Some more than others, especially FIBO in Germany. I think over the few days that they're there, it's like a few 100,000 people that attend, and in the actual expos themselves, there's probably at least a few hundred different supplement brands. Some come and some go, you know, some, you know, remain throughout the draft periods and have longevity within their lifespan. You know, some of these supplement brands last a long time because they're good. I wanted to ask you, what's your thoughts on Keon? Like, what why do we need another supplement brand? Like, okay, so now we have Keon on top of all the other supplement brands. What makes Keon different out of all these other ones? Basically, is what I'm saying. I'll ask it.
Not to be like seem redundant or keep coming back to the same theme over and over again, but I think it really does come back and start with you or with the person who's buying the product. Like, why do you really want this product? Because all these brands, including Keon, are going to try to sell their products to you, right? They're going to try to advertise to you. They're going to tell you a story about why that product is better than another product, and that could be because it's got some new ingredient, or because it's got new research came out, or because there's some certain person endorsing it, etc. It's like you got to ask yourself, why are you buying the product? What do you want from this? Because that's really what's most important, and it's either going to serve you or it's not going to serve you.
Yeah,
And as a consumer myself, and Ben as well as a consumer himself from the very beginning, we wanted products that we could really trust and that we could really believe in, and where not only the products but the company as a whole reflected our view and our perspective on life. And
mhm.
so that was important to us. So what I would say is, like, if you're one of those consumers, and now I'll tell you more about like why, what it is, like what that perspective on life is more. It's like, if you're one of those, if you're aligned with us in that way and you believe in the same things we believe in, I can promise you that the level of attention that we pay to all these things is far and above most other supplement brands. And those things that we pay attention to are, number one, it really is quality. And you can hear all different types of companies say quality, and they'll say things like manufactured in a CGMP facility. Dude, if the product's not manufactured in a CGMP facility, like, definitely don't take it. Like, that's like the baseline, right? That basically means certified good manufacturing practices. It just means the facility is like following a pretty basic level not basic, but a good quality level certification, meaning that they produce products well and follow rules and clean stuff, etc. Right?
Mm,
So going beyond that, man, like the way that we look, all these supplement companies don't manufacture their own products. There's contract manufacturers that everyone works with, which is very common. It's like Apple doesn't make their computers, right? Apple designs their computers and then they have another company in China that makes it.
yeah,
So the degree of attention that we put into interviewing and creating alignment with and auditing the physical facilities of the manufacturing partners we work with is far and above and beyond any other brand our size. We invest so much money up front to make sure that the partners that we're working with are 100% aligned with us, that they're absolutely the best manufacturers in the entire United States, and that there's just no sacrifice on quality. And so for that, we pay a premium. We could totally go to a cheaper manufacturer that hits the certification, that does all that stuff, but like, dude, all they're trying to do is just make money, get one more client. Like we seek the deeper relationship with the manufacturer to create alignment. And then it goes all the way back to the ingredients. So the raw ingredients that go into any supplement, you can get. So our hero product is essential amino acids. Man, I cannot tell you how. Again, you think there's a lot of amino acid probably companies and products. There's that many actual raw ingredient providers as well, and there's all different quality around them. So spending the time and actually being willing to and that committed to go to the nth degree to find the absolute highest quality, cleanest, like raw amino acids that are going to go into the formula, and the flavors, and if there's any kind of stabilizing agent in it, like that attention to detail takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money, and many business people, which I totally understand, they are not willing to prioritize that investment because it takes money, and because they don't care as much about it. Like it might just be like, man, I'm happy to take, whatever creatine, just all I care is that it's creatine. There's science around creatine that's good enough for me, man. What's the best creatine? Like, are you the guy that cares what the absolute best raw creatine is? And if you are, then you'll end up with Creapure, and you'll know like that is it, man. It's the one made in Germany. You don't have to do preloading with it. Like it just beats all the rest. And the decision to go to that nth degree is something that, like, I'm not going to put the product in my body unless it does that. Same thing with Ben. Like we're going to push to the furthest levels to make sure that the quality of the ingredients hit that. And then when it comes to formulations, it's the same thing, man. Like there's tons of science out there. I could legitimize so many different formulations. The time it takes to actually review the literature, to actually then formulate and test those products, to take them, to try them, to see how they impact you, to impact other people around you, to actually like really invest that time. Again, man, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It's not, launching 20 new supplements this quarter. Like it takes more time. It's slower. It's a longer cycle game. I would say that in the same way that we perceive health in terms of performance today, it's also longevity. It's also health span. Like, are we building a company that will last, that won't be one of those ones that just pops and goes? Are we building a company that doesn't have an issue or a problem with the product like maybe some other companies do, because they don't spend as much time on the front end on quality? And then, man, it extends directly into the actual company culture. In like, do we actually have does the company that you're buying the supplements from, do they actually really have core values, or are core values just something that they write on their website? Do they have a purpose and a mission that their team speaks about every single week? Do they give each other feedback on their core values? Do they have like a distinct vision that everyone's aligned around for the next 3 years? Or are they just kind of hustling to try to, like, get the products done, hire someone to do this, make more money, I'm sure they all love the products. I don't think people are getting into the sports supplement business for just money. I'm sure that they like fitness, they like working out, but to what degree are they really committed? Are they really committed to building a company that will endure, that will last a long time, and where the people that work for the company and the owners and founders of the company and all the stakeholders are actually aligned with the mission and the purpose, and that keep that, like, it comes back to this idea of key. When we talk about key and we talk about energy and we talk about life force, at the heart of that is like living a life of purpose. And it's living a life that moves from that space, that moves from that energy, and not from whatever's cool and exciting today, or that's reactive, or short-lived benefits. It's like, it's really doing something meaningful with one's life. And so that's why I'm doing it. I know that's why Ben's doing it. That's why the people that work for us do it. And I believe that's why our customers, that's why our customers continue to buy our products, man. And they love it. I just got feedback from another one of our ambassadors like yourself this week who got a direct message from a woman who had been referred by her to our products, and they were raving about our CS agent Matt, and how Matt had not just tried to sell her this product, but had helped her find these 2 articles, had really talked her through like what was the right supplement and trying to understand her current health situation and what she could educate herself about first. Like, man, like Matt cares. Like
Mm.
Matt literally cares about that customer, and that customer like getting to live that active life, getting to live that fulfilling life. So so I got all
Amazing.
jazzed up, man. But like
Mm.
it's like that's why.
It's tremendous. Wow, that was beautifully put. Seriously. Um, wow. So, during your time putting together Keon, I'm sure you came across ingredients where you thought, okay, that's not going to be in line with what we are trying to produce. Um, what type of stuff can you find in other type of brands that people are not aware of? Because people might just think, okay, yours is more expensive than this. I'm going to go for this one. Maybe a typical commercial brand. What what type of things are people not aware of that can be in some of the supplements which they are buying?
So I want to be careful with this answer because I don't want to. Overall, I'm very supportive of the supplement industry. I think
Yeah.
it's overall super net positive for health, for the world, and I don't want to go into like fear mongering or scaring people about other products.
No, just
Um,
from your findings,
yeah,
that's
and I mean, I think some of the main things to look out for are some companies will advertise an ingredient, but the ingredient will be at such a low dosage that it really doesn't matter.
right.
And in the industry, we call that fairy dusting. But that's the kind of thing where you think you're buying something, but there's actually a perfect example would be omega 3s. So if you check out Keon Omega and you see the proportion of omega 3 fatty acids actually relative to the total amount of fat in the capsule and the total amount of oil, you'll see that it's a ridiculously high proportion to if you compare that to other brands. So if you just see like 2 capsules, you'd be like, oh, this capsule and this capsule, like they must be the same. No, they're not. Ours doesn't have a bunch of just other oils in it. It actually has the majority is the fish oil itself, of
Right.
course, at the highest purity, etc. Um, Another thing would be just that too. It's like you think you're getting a capsule, but the dosage is way lower. So there's all types of ways that you can um, change pricing models, which I won't say that we won't do as well. It's like we try to price products in such a way that people will choose to buy it because we know that it's good for them. But some people can go really out of their way to make something look affordable, but it has very little of even the most active ingredient in it.
Mm.
And so if there's little of the active ingredient in it, what's all the other stuff in it? And I can't give you like a simple answer to that, but it really depends. I mean, so for example, with omegas, it could just be like other general fish oils. It could be other types of filler oils though as well. It could
There's
be
filler oils. Well, what's a filler oil? What do you mean?
um so I mean like a vegetable oil. You could have more of a vegetable oil in it, I mean basically. And again, I don't want to totally diss vegetable oils entirely because in very small amounts and at the highest quality cold press, et cetera, they're okay. So for example, we choose not to use mixed tocopherols as the stabilizing preservative in our omega-3 fish oil because the supply chain on that is it's challenging to navigate, and you can end up with like um, GMO based oils in it. And so instead, we chose to use rosemary extract and astaxanthin as the preservative agents within the omega 3. It makes it so it stabilizes and tastes good. And I literally give my omega 3s to my kids and they chew them. They're like, they really taste that good.
Oh wow.
They
Okay.
do not taste gross at all. So they're super stable. But to stabilize the rosemary extract, we use a very, very small amount. I'm talking it's like 0.0001% of organic sunflower seed oil that's used as that's like the stabilizing carrier that the rosemary extract is in. that is okay. Like I'm proud to have that product. I'm proud to take it. It's super clean. It's the highest quality, cleanest fish oil that we could make. And I researched this for years to make it.
Mm.
Um, but you could have another one that has, they could also say, I don't know, there's an organic sunflower seed oil, but it's like a lot. It's tons of it, and it's not even fish oil. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah,
What
and say, I
about?
mean, there's all kinds of other fillers that you can have, whether it's a powder or a capsule. Um,
I've heard about fillers quite a lot, especially with weight gaining supplements. You got the whey protein, and then you got like gainers. And gainers, they have lots of fillers and all these garbage, sugary stuff. Um, but what I want to know about is you hear stuff like heavy metals being in some supplements as well.
that's a
And
great question.
yeah, so how is that even legal? You know, how does that end up in the supplements? Where is it being sourced for that to happen? How much of it is allowed in there? I don't know if you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So the heavy metal thing is just to clear up. It's not like these manufacturers or these brands are pouring heavy metals into the product, right?
Yeah.
What happens is it really comes down to cheap ingredients.
Mm.
If you use really cheap ingredients, you are likely going to have more heavy metals in it. That said, also there are certain types of plants, botanical ingredients that when grown just in soil or in certain parts of the world, they naturally tend to have metals in them. Overall, though, if you choose the highest quality ingredients, you choose organic, you choose non-GMO, you pick those ingredients that are of the highest quality, they will not have them in them, or they will have much, 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 much less. So even something like chocolate overall has a higher proportion of lead in it than you would imagine. That
Right.
said, the cheaper the chocolate you buy, the more of an issue that's going to be. And so, really, the reason why certain products will have a lot of heavy metals in them is because the brands are choosing to use cheaper ingredients that come out of worse soil in worse places with worse conditions, where there's just a lot more toxicity exposed to the plants or the animals themselves. It can
Mm.
also sometimes come out of the actual processing of the ingredients, but basically, it's cheap ingredients. And you got to assume. I don't know, man. You do get what you pay for. Now, there can be more value based brands, like where it's not exorbitant the cost that you pay, but every company out there, every ethical company out there is paying a certain amount for the raw ingredients. They're paying a certain amount for the manufacturing, and then they're paying for the marketing, and they're paying for a team, and they're paying to build this company to then get it in front of a customer and have them buy it. And if the product is half the cost of Keon and they've been around a while, the savings are in the ingredients. It's in the quality of the ingredients. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
they have market share, they have marketing. I mean, it could be like there's marketing issue. It could be that there's savings in marketing, but man, it's you just I could make a product for half the cost.
Yeah.
I would not take it. I would not give it to my kids.
If somebody was trying to pick a brand, they come across yours and they're like, okay, seems really good. How can a person compare and know that Keon is better than another brand? That this everyone, as you said, is saying, yeah, we follow this regulation or whatever it was, and our quality, our quality is good. How can a person know? Is there a kind of home testing which they can do, or is there something to look out for on the website or on the labeling to know, all right, these boxes are ticked, I know this is quality?
That's a great question. I think the number one thing that you can do as a consumer is to read the labels in detail and understand what's on the label. If you don't know what something is, you can Google it. It's like there could be there's an additive, something that's common, sunflower lecithin. If you see that, you're like, what is that? Is that a bad thing? Is that an extra thing? In very small doses, it's not a bad thing. It's an emulsifier. It makes it to where the stuff doesn't stick and to where it can mix more easily. Like it's a fine ingredient. If it's the last thing on the label, you don't need to be like crazy concerned about that. Um, on the other hand, if you see, for example, I mean, again, if you see um, tons of excipients, so excipients or flow agents are products that are added to a supplement to make it run better through the machine
Hmm.
or to get it to fit better into the capsule, etc. If you see like if you see basically like other ingredients and there's like 5 of them, be like, why are there 5? Like, why are there 5 of them? You know, like you should see, look for like 2 or 2 or less. Um, I
Mm.
think other things you can do is like go to their website, research them. Like, don't just trust what someone else says, but like what is what on their website, how do they represent themselves? Do they give a lot of good information on the actual like product page about what's in it and why? Do they have a detailed story about their company and where they came from? And also, like, who recommended them to you? Because I think that there is a way in which trust is a real thing, and that has a big part about why, or Ben himself wanted to start a brand, is that he was a guy who has researched and tried so many products. I mean, that dude has tried more protein powders than anyone, right?
Anyone? Yeah.
um, and so in that, people trust him, right? I mean, people trust him because they know he's tried and they know he's researched. So I think it's looking for people that have dedicated their life to this. And what do they endorse? I mean, that's why I'm really proud, Roger, that you take our aminos, and that that you're part of our family in that way, because you're one of those guys, right? I mean, you've dedicated 30 years of your life to this, and it's those types of, I think, community resources are really important and valuable as well. Again, though, I would advocate for like following legit people, and I'm putting you in that bucket. There's plenty of people who can maybe like popped up, more recently, and if you're taking advice from someone, from a Roger Snipes, from a Ben Greenfield, like, make sure that you really look into who they are as a person as well.
So,
In terms of like home testing, I mean, you could do all that stuff, but if you're looking for like to be on a budget and you're trying to save money and you're just trying to like choose the right product, I think it's educate yourself about ingredients, read the label, and really consider who's recommending the product to you.
mm, awesome, awesome. Checking out ingredients, that might be a bit difficult. Well, it's easy to find out. I guess you could Google it. I'm just thinking most people, it's like, okay, I just want to know which one's good, which one isn't. It's they're probably not going to look at all the ingredients. But I think a shortcut way is to know who are the people who represents the brand. But yeah, to go in a bit more detail, what you say, look in the ingredients. There's many ingredients which is in some brands, it's unreal. Many you can't pronounce. But what I wanted to ask there's one more question I have, but what I wanted to ask is, how do you know if certain ingredients are only a small amount? Because you mentioned the sunflower lecithin. How
Yeah.
do you know if it's only, a small amount or a large amount? If they just put it on, they don't write a measurement on there. It just says,
Mhm.
we've added this ingredient. How
The
do you know?
order of the ingredients, whether it's an ingredient label, like on a nutrition product, or on a supplement product, it'll say other ingredients. The order in which they're listed is the order in which the doses are. It's like in the order of the doses. So the top
Ah,
ingredient, there's more of that.
and that's a general rule
That's a
throughout.
rule. Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's a requirement. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And then
Um,
also you can always ask a brand.
yeah. How
I
do you
mean,
know if they're being truthful about that? If they say, oh yeah, we only use 0.0002, whatever. How do you know if it's true? Do they have to give you the right answer on that?
uh well, no, I mean, they don't have to. I mean, I think if they were to like, people can always lie, but I mean, God, that just freaked me out when you even just said that. I was like, God, would people do that? People would like, it's like, I know. I mean, I think of good natured people
Yeah.
running companies, right? And any companies that have enough traction, I mean, the people running it could have, I just don't think that people are that ill intentioned. They just don't care as much. I think the bigger issue with people running companies and with the products themselves is not that someone's trying to do something bad, it's that they just don't care enough. And so the sense that someone would actually try to like lie to you about what's in it, I think that could always be the case, but that's just like I think that's a hard thing to work to try to figure out. I mean, people could always lie to you about anything all the time.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't say that like that's if you're buying from reputable companies, even like mainstream companies, I think I wouldn't be afraid they're going to lie to you. What I think would just be is they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you off the bat what's in it, and they're going to make choices about it because I don't know, man. That CEO probably doesn't put it in his body or her body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He or
Yeah.
she probably doesn't give it to their kids every day. And so
Mm.
then it's like, well, it's just a product someone's buying. It's not like this thing that really matters to me in my life.
Yeah. I get that.
I don't
Oh,
know. Did I
thank
help you? Was this helpful for you and your audience to know how to, you know,
Yeah, I think that's
products
good.
and companies?
Yeah. That's something to work with because I think a lot of the time people, like for instance, when I was younger and I used to go into a GNC store, it's like, okay, which one has the brightest colors? Yeah, maybe it's that one. So at least people can make a bit more informed decisions when they're searching for a product. I think that was really good. That was really good. Lastly, what's the plans for Keon in the future? Where do you see Keon going?
Man, it's what we're doing now, but like exponential. I mean, that's really the hope and the vision. We the way I talked before about like, does a company actually live by its values? Does it
Yeah.
live by its purpose? Does it live by its mission? We have a very clearly stated purpose, and our purpose is like our North Star. Like that is, it's not something to achieve. It's something that like what motivates us every day. It's our why.
Hmm.
And that is to give people, to support people in having the energy to live active, joyful lives. And so like that, we just envision that. Like we literally visualize more and more people feeling and looking alert, being able to be present with their families, being able to like work out at the gym more regularly, being able to go on hikes, being able to um, play sports with friends, like be able to live this like full, active, athletic life. And our our mission is very clearly stated as 1 million loyal followers. We define that as people that like don't just buy our products once, but they continue to buy our products.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're focused on. It's like we want to be able to impact 1 million people, and that's it, man. And so the ways
Awesome.
that we do that are through continuing to um, educate people around why the products we make right now will help them and serve them. And it's continuing to develop new products. So we'll have a bunch of, we'll have not a bunch, but several new products in the next 2 to 3 years. More coming this year. We'll have 2 new products this year. And they all tackle different angles of how to enhance one's key and one's energy.
Love it.
So, yeah, man, just trying to really support our current customers and find new ones that share our vision for this life,
Mhm.
and to just have the best life possible.
That's awesome, man. That was brilliant. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Enhancing people's lives is tremendous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roger. And I'm
Woo!
stoked. I'm glad we got to do this, man.
Me too. Really am. Really am. Love your energy. Love your passion. Your passion. It's infectious. Really is. And I don't know. everyone knows about Ben, but I don't know. Like maybe there's loads of people who know about you, but I'm glad that more people will get to know about you as well. You know, the other side to Keon. So thank you
man.
very much. And where can people find you?
I mean, really, I would just direct everyone to getkion.com.
Okay.
GETKION.com.
/ Roger Snipes.
I would say / Roger Snipes and use Roger 20. I mean, seriously, use Roger 20. And dude, man, I'm so honored that that you work with us. There are so many people in the health and fitness world, and the moment that we had our first call, and because I mean, I saw your Instagram, like, man, dude's awesome. Like,
Thank you, man.
like what an inspirational figure. But when I actually could hear you talk and hear the way that you thought about life and how passionate you were and the level of integrity that you have, I'm honored that you're in this with us, man. So thank you.
Thank you. No, it's great. It's great being a part of the family, as you put it. It's fantastic. You know, it's in line with where I see things as well. So I think it was just a natural synergy, in all fairness. So it's a beautiful thing. Thank you. So Keon, getkion.com. And so you guys are on Instagram, on Facebook as well?
Yeah, we're on Facebook as well.
On
We're on all the platforms.
Tremendous, tremendous. Once again, Angelo, it's been an absolutely fantastic chat with you. Have a blessed day, my friend. And
You too, man.
We will talk soon.
All right. Peace, Roger.
God bless.